And the biggest story out of India, Sensex has ended above 34,000 mark for the first time today, and overall there were expectations that Sensex will be above 35,000, but at least 34,000 mark has been touched. Nifty has surpassed 10,500 on a day when flattish moves dominated the benchmark indices. Intense buying in the final hour made the market close on a record high note. Sensex ended above 34,000 while Nifty closed above 10,500 mark. Sensex gained overall 78 points in the day and Nifty gains 34 points during the day. So look at the shots. They are cheering Sensex 34,000 crossing. Clearly there is optimism in the air. Some balloons are also flying. Cake is also being cut. Optimism in the air we can see, and Sensex has crossed 34,000 mark for the first time ever.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And we are joined by our analyst this evening, Mr. Mustafa Nadeem. Good evening to Mr. Nadeem. First of all, how do you see the day happening? Finally, not 35,000, but at least 34,000 we could touch before the closing of the year.
It's a great day for the market. A new high is achieved. Congratulations to all the investors and the traders. And I think this trend would continue for some time, and we may see some new highs coming into the market. The short-term target for Nifty would be 10,600, 10,650 level. I think the new bottom at 10,460 level is in place, and the kind of open interest which has been built up, it suggests that the market in near term would be trading somewhere around 10,650 level going forward. So yes, again some more highs to be seen in the market, and overall this bullish momentum would continue in the short term also.
Well, absolutely, Mr. Nadeem. Just stay with us. We tell the viewers how has been the 2017 so far for Indian markets and global market as well. Take a look at the overall how Indian markets performed in the current year. We look at the events that shaped the markets in the current year. Goods and services tax that was implemented in July this year was one big factor. Second, IPO frenzy in Indian markets that also continued throughout the year or nearly, and Indian markets have grown nearly 25% so far, and if we include today, around 30% Sensex has risen. Indian indices, they have clocked fresh milestones one after the another milestone this year. Nifty reached 10,500 mark last week. Nifty touched 10,000 mark in July, and 500 more points were added over the next 3 to 4 months. Sensex also touched 32,000 mark for the first time, and within 3 to 4 months 34,000 mark has been touched. The finance sector was one of the big newsmakers of the year as far as Indian markets were concerned, and 2.11 lakh crore bank recapitalization plan was announced, one big factor moving Indian markets. An amendment to IBC ordinance, Indian markets also witnessed that, and over 120 companies they hit the primary Indian markets in 2017 through IPOs. That's another big factor moving Indian markets. Overall, $1 billion was raised through initial public offerings or IPOs. UP, Gujarat and Himachal Pradesh elections were also a big factor that moved the markets in 2017. Infosys Sika saga impacted most of the IT stocks this year. In global markets, rate hikes by US Federal Reserves were keenly watched, and Donald Trump became the new US president, which was another factor that was overreacted by the markets. There were 3 Fed hikes in 2017, and North Korea tensions dominated headlines in the global markets as well. 2017 also witnessed a surge in prices of crude. So Mr. Nadeem, if you talk about the last 1 year overall, how do you see 2018? Do you think that bull run will continue in 2018 as well? What's your expectations over there?
Yes, I think 2018 would be another good year for the market, and we may see market going up by another 12 to 15%. So my short term, my target for next year for Nifty would be around 11,200, and for Sensex it would be 37,000. This because the kind of reforms which has been implemented So now the results would be coming of those reforms, and the corporate earnings are the major thing which would be driving the market in 2018. And I think if the earning is around 17 to 18%, so we may see a good gain from the market going forward, as it is expected that the earning would be somewhere around 15 to 20%. So if this culminates, so we may see a good gain in market going forward. Then again, the results, the budget is there. 2018 budget would be shaping up the market for another bull run, and if more reforms are implemented and done in a structured way, we may see a good bull run in 2018 also.
But will there be volatility as well, because there are few state elections that are still to happen? Also, general elections can be preponed or some other announcement can come. So will there be volatility dominating Indian markets next year as well?
The volatility is bound to happen because the kind of level we are setting, the volatility would surely be there. But any meaningful correction should be used by investors to enter the market. Because if you see, the current PE of the market is 25. And in 2008, when the crash happened, the market PE was around 27, 28. So yes, the valuations are high, but if earnings support the valuation, then we may see a good bull run. But if at all there is some hiccups on the earning side, then the market would become worrisome, and then we may see some 4 to 7% correction. But that correction should be used to enter the market.
Also, Mr. Nadeem, I would like to ask you one important thing overall. If we talk about the markets, any big sectors you are bullish on that will see a certain kind of uptick in the year going forward?
2018 would be the year for the companies which are related to rural economy, because we are going to see a great emphasis on the rural economy revival by the government. Since if you see the Gujarat election also, the setback was on rural side, and yes, the distress is there, somewhat distress is there on the rural side. So the focus would be there of government on the reviving the rural economy. So any company which is related to rural economy is a must buy for 2018. Then construction and infrastructure, these are again two big sectors which would shoulder the revival of manufacturing activity, and would bring in a good job creation for government. So I think these three sectors would be on the forefront of economic activity in 2018, and we may see good gains coming in from companies from these sectors.
And to stay with us, Mr. Nadeem, we will like to take the viewers back to the factors that will shape economy this week. Well, one of the big factors is, of course, data coming this week, but F&O expiry is also happening on Thursday. As the last Thursday, FIIs are in vacation mode, so not big activity should be expected. Last week, Sensex gained 1.4%. 50 share Nifty also gained around 1.5%. Two big factors. Rupee has been range bound around 64 to 64.5 rupees to a dollar, and crude oil prices, that will be one factor to watch out for. The December for F&O expiry on Thursday, that is one factor. Winter session of Parliament is going on. Some announcement, if happens there, also would be watched out for. Infrastructure output data for November is also likely to come out soon, and forex reserves data will be announced coming Friday. That is one factor that will be shaping the markets going forward. As well, as far as Indian markets are concerned, the minutes of Bank of Japan monetary policy meeting will be out this week, and Japan's industrial production data for November is also going to be out this week. These factors will shape the market. US initial jobless claims for till December 22 will also be out. And Mr. Mustafa, Mr. Nadeem, another question about the global markets. Global markets were clearly not as high as Indian markets were. How do you see them happening, them responding to the coming few factors, big factors next year?
See, global markets have not given the kind of return which Indian markets have given, but if you see the economic activity in global markets, the sentiments have improved a lot, and we have seen some good GDP numbers being reported consistently by China, by Japan, by US and UK. So this factor would continue for 2018 also, and the bullishness in global markets would continue for year 2018 as well. And we have already seen some strong predictions being made by Fed for 2018, where they are hoping for GDP growth of 3.3 to 3.5%, which is quite high, 22-year high. And then again, if you see Bank of Japan, they have also predicted a good economic outlook going forward. So all these things would be very bullish for market and would be taking global markets to new high, and this would be supporting another bull run for Indian markets as well.
All right, thank you, Mr. Nadeem, for getting us all these details and giving this perspective on markets in India. A good day for markets when they have touched 34,000 mark. We saw people celebrating over there, cake cutting and other celebrations also happening as far as Indian markets are concerned. So clearly Sensex has managed to touch 34,000 mark by the end of the year, before the end of the year in fact. And moving on with some global stories.